Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Eric Menk. Thanks for tuning into this video, and I'm assuming by now everyone has finished watching the Last Dance documentary. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I certainly did, but this brings up a very interesting question, a question that everyone is talking about, and that is the Michael Jordan versus LeBron James debate for the greatest player of all time. So today we are going to discuss why I feel LeBron James is the greatest player of all time. And to be clear, before we dive in, I'm a fan of neither one of these guys. I am not partial one way or the other. And to be honest, I feel that four people actually have a legitimate, strong argument for being the greatest player of all time. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and also Bill Russell. If you argue any one of those four guys as the greatest player of all time, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong, but in this video, I'm going to make the case for LeBron James. So here we go, Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. Let's take a look at their accolades. You see the MVPs, the championships, the finals MVPs, the scoring titles. Those are all pro Michael Jordan. Let's take a look at their stats. We're not going to go over in great detail their stats, but I think we can all agree that these are true. Whether you're talking about regular season, playoffs, or finals, and going over their stats, there was some trends that shone through, and Michael Jordan is the better scorer. LeBron James is the better rebounder. He's the better passer. Their PER is almost identical. And their defense, they're both good defenders, but Michael Jordan was Defensive Player of the Year. He was 9 times all defense to LeBron James 6. I think LeBron is a little bit more of a versatile defender. He can guard almost 1 through 5, but you still got to give the nod to Michael Jordan for defense. Now, there are some certain things within this debate that are common themes and myths that I've come across when debating this topic amongst friends, or common myths that I've seen discussed on TV. And I want to discuss these and debunk them because a lot of these are no longer true and they're false perceptions is all they are. The first one, Michael Jordan was more clutch than LeBron. If you remember a few years ago, if you're old enough to have followed LeBron's full career, early in his career, he was known not to have the clutch gene or not as clutch or things of that nature. Well, that's simply not true anymore. This is in the playoffs, 5 seconds or less. He has made more field goals at a better percentage and has had more buzzer beaters than Michael Jordan. Now, it's close, but think about it here. You cannot say LeBron isn't clutch. He's at least as clutch. And if you want to stretch it a little further to 10 seconds or less, again, Michael Jordan's known as being pretty clutch. Kobe Bryant was known for being a clutch player. LeBron James, he's made more and at a better percentage. So the myth or a theme that Michael Jordan is more clutch than LeBron James simply is not true. Myth number 2, Michael Jordan had more killer instinct than LeBron, whatever that is. LeBron James in elimination games has the highest points per game over some pretty good scorers here. I've heard people say, well, what is his record in elimination games? What is his field goal percentage? We don't know. It's not here, but what we do know is when facing elimination, he at least brings it. 34 points a game. Even if his field goal percentage is bad, at least he's trying to keep his team in it. This is Game 7. Game 7s, he's 6-2. He's in his last 6. He's 6-0. Take a look at these Game 7s. There's no doubt that he doesn't have killer instinct here. He plays big in big games. Take a look at these stats. And he hasn't lost a Game 7 since 2008. He comes to play in big games without question. Jordan was more of a winner than LeBron. People always say this, drives me freaking nuts. So let's dive into it. right now. With the regular season win percentage, they're both at 64%, both pretty good. Playoff wins in the same number of seasons in the playoffs, edge LeBron. Average playoff wins per season, LeBron. Playoff series won, 35-30, big edge for LeBron. And average playoff series won per season is obviously LeBron James. We got to get to something, the elephant in the room, and that's the finals record. And the one thing I wanted to bring up here is we looked at all the stats for the regular season, it's even. In the playoffs, LeBron has been more successful in the playoffs. He has more wins, he has more series wins, he's gotten to the finals more. But we all know Michael Jordan is 6-0 in the finals. So if all the data says that LeBron is just as much a winner as Michael Jordan, and one statistic, kind of an outlier, says otherwise, actually says the opposite, then we need to take a closer look at that one. So let's take a look and put some context into why LeBron's record is what it is and why Michael Jordan's record is what it is in one particular series, the NBA Finals. First off, the era. People get a little weird about this, but the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s, as far as teams, not players, the strength of the teams, what is the weakest? I think by far it's the 90s. The 90s was basically all Bulls and Rockets. Most of the good teams in that era consisted of one star player and the rest of the guys role players. Just looking at the rosters and the talent of the teams, the 90s was the weakest. And to prove that, let's take a look at the finals competition. Michael Jordan, these are the Hall of Famers that he faced in the finals, a grand total of 9. LeBron, a grand total of 30. A couple of these guys that are still active are potential Hall of Famers. I think all of them will get in. The only exception maybe is Draymond Green. But even if you take him out, it's 26-9 or more than likely 30-9. The odds, the NBA Finals odds. Michael Jordan's Bulls were favored in every one of the finals they appeared in. And what we're looking at here is the finals. This is right before the finals. For those of you that don't bet, when you're net minus 200, that means you're the favorite. So they're pretty big favorites in their first three-peat on all three of their titles. Huge favorites in 96, huge favorites in 97, and then the closest in 98. Favored for all 6. Every time they enter the finals, they were favored. Contrast to that, if you take a look at LeBron James' finals appearances, we're going to look down here in 07. Big underdogs to the Spurs. The Miami Heat were favored against Dallas. The Oklahoma City Thunder were favored in 2012 over Miami. Miami was favored in 13. San Antonio slightly favored in 14. And then, of course, Golden State was favored in all 4 of their finals matchups from 2015 to 2018. So for those of you counting at home, LeBron James, out of 9 finals appearances, was only favored twice. He also had home court twice out of 9 times. If we can agree that Las Vegas casinos are a business that is a very successful business, considering that there's many of them, they keep building more, they keep expanding, whether it be the casino or the sports book. The reason that a sports book or a casino is a successful business is because they usually win. And even if you look at these 8-team championships, finals that are listed here, there's 18 of them. Vegas was right 14 times. So the odds makers are usually right most of the time. That's why they win most of the time. If we can agree on that, then if LeBron James was only favored twice out of 9, what's par for him? What's par? Because he's got 3. So is it 2? There's a lot of factors that go into winning, especially when you get to the finals. I would say the number 1 factor would be the strength of your team in relation to who you're playing. And if you're underdogs 7 out of 9 times and you win 3, I think that that's pretty good. But he's knocked because he's lost 6 times in the finals. If he was favored all 9 times, maybe it'd be different. If he was favored
6 times and he only had 3, it'd be different. But he was favored twice. He has had home court twice out of 9, and he still has 3 titles. I think that's pretty good. That's probably overachieving. Is this a popularity contest? People love Michael Jordan, and we're going to take a look right here at some of the reasons why. Michael Jordan stayed with one team. He's loyal. A lot of people forget, though, he also retired twice in his prime, and he played 2 seasons with the Washington Wizards, but nobody really remembers that. LeBron, we all know he changed teams. He's the leader of the player empowerment era. He's changed 3 times. 10 scoring titles. LeBron has 1 scoring title. In basketball, the most celebrated statistic is scoring. Michael Jordan, probably the best perimeter scorer of all time. He's got 10 scoring titles. He's the king in the most celebrated statistical category in basketball, and people love him for it because he was able to win as well. LeBron James, he's elite in all areas of the game. He's probably 90-95% the scorer that Michael Jordan is, but he's not the best. He's the best passing forward ever. He's a great rebounder. He's a versatile defender, but he's great at everything, but not the best at anything. This was extensively covered in the documentary. He's a fierce competitor. There's numerous slight stories, which I certainly question the cause and effect of, but there's well-documented evidence of his competitive spirit. And with LeBron James, I don't know. He's not a gambler. Haven't heard any gambling stories. Haven't heard any over-competitive stories. I know that he's known for taking care of his body. He said before that he's chasing Michael Jordan. Maybe he's just trying to be the best. Maybe he just wants to win. I don't know, because it's not publicized. Stories haven't come out yet. And somehow that isn't as sexy as the gambling and the slight stories behind Michael Jordan. And of course, this one we already talked about, 6 finals, 6 titles. This is the #1 reason why Jordan supporters still consider him the greatest over LeBron. 6 for 6. It is very impressive. That with the scoring titles and the MVPs is very impressive resume for Michael Jordan. And LeBron, even though he's played stiffer competition, even though he's had success in the regular season and throughout the playoffs, he's got a losing record in the finals. So therefore, people point to that as why he can't be as great as MJ. But what are we talking about here? We all like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, without question, is more popular. He's got mystique and all these stories of somebody didn't say hi to him, so he gets mad and he took it personal. Somebody else won the MVP, so he took it personal. Somebody wrote an article that this guy might be as good as him, he took it personal. There's all these things, and he's one of the great sports icons ever. So there's no doubt he's more popular, but none of that means anything to me. What I'm looking at is the body of work on the court.
So if you're in your 40s or 50s and I am in that demographic, I understand why you love Michael Jordan. You watched him when you were a teenager or when you were in your 20s, and he is an anchor to something great in all of our past. He was such a cultural icon. And I understand it. If I was going to make a movie about one person's career, Michael Jordan or LeBron James, I'm going to choose Michael Jordan. And if I had a product that I needed to market and I was to take prime LeBron or prime Michael Jordan, I would choose Michael Jordan. Who has a greater legend? Probably Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is probably the most famous athlete of my lifetime. He was the coolest athlete I've ever seen. One of the most graceful athletes I've ever seen. No doubt about it. He has the off-the-court mystique greater than any athlete in my lifetime. In a recent podcast, I heard Bill Simmons talk about why he thought Michael Jordan was the greatest player of all time, and 75% of it was off the court slight stories or mystique. And I get it. That's part of the Michael Jordan legend. But let's not get it twisted. LeBron James also has a mystique. You think when he runs into an arena, all eyes aren't on him? They are. You think he doesn't have a brand? He does. He's got over 65 million Instagram followers. Nike pays him over 20% more than any current NBA basketball player. So he has a very strong brand himself. But is he Michael Jordan in those categories? Probably not. And you know what? There's a lot of things about LeBron James that I don't like. I don't like his over-dramatic reactions when he plays. I don't like that he took his talents to South Beach. I don't like his Sports Illustrated piece, "I'm coming home." I don't like that in that article he said he was gonna finish his career in Cleveland only to change his mind 4 years later. I hate GM LeBron. I hate Clutch Sports. I hate that his production company, Spring Hill Entertainment, is making Space Jam 2 starring him. I hate the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't like his shoes. And finally, I really don't like the ugly chin-strap beard that he's been sporting for the last few years. But this isn't what we're talking about. This isn't a popularity contest. What I am talking about is 48 minutes on the court, game after game, season after season. In that same Bill Simmons podcast that I referenced earlier, Bill Simmons referred to Michael Jordan as having 4 peaks. The pre-title Jordan, 93 Jordan, 96 Jordan, and 98 Jordan. And I would argue that LeBron James has also had 4 peaks. That's young MVP Cleveland LeBron James. That's 2012-2013 Miami Heat LeBron James. Cleveland Cavaliers, forgot about Dre, 2016 LeBron James. And now his Los Angeles Lakers, still an MVP candidate, still winning games, knowing how to manage a game, LeBron James. I also think their careers semi-parallel each other. I think the 1985 to 1990 Michael Jordan is very similar to the 2004 to 2011 LeBron James. And I think 1991 to 1998 Michael Jordan is very similar to what we're seeing now, basically from 2012 until current LeBron James. I think if you take a look at those two portions of their careers and compare them, they're very similar. But Michael Jordan and LeBron James are different people and they have different games. And just because LeBron's career has been different doesn't mean it's worse. Just because he has different motivational tactics doesn't mean that his motivational tactics aren't as effective. And if you look at LeBron James's career on the court, he has been every bit as great as Michael Jordan, except he's done it for longer. And if you don't believe me, here are a few stats to back up that statement.
So this is for the regular season. These are career stats. LeBron James leads Michael Jordan in the following statistical categories. He's got more career points. He's got more career rebounds. He's got more career assists. He's got more career blocks. You want to look at the playoffs. Again, I've mentioned they've each played 13 seasons, so this is a great measurement here because they both played 13 seasons in the playoffs as of right now. Let's take a look. LeBron James is the all-time leading scorer in the playoffs. First, he's got more points than Michael Jordan or anybody else that's ever played basketball in the playoffs. He's got more career playoff rebounds than Michael Jordan. He's third all-time in playoff career assists. Also ahead of Michael Jordan, has more blocks in the playoffs, and he's first in steals all-time in the playoffs, ahead of Michael Jordan. Now let's look at the finals. LeBron James is second all-time in finals points behind Jerry West. He has more career rebounds. He has more career assists. He has more finals blocks than Michael Jordan and more finals steals than Michael Jordan, where he's second all-time there. Let's look at some of the accolades. All NBA. This is a huge marker for long-term success and longevity. He's been an all-NBA selection 16 times, the most of anyone ever in the NBA. He's been selected to all-NBA 5 more times than Michael Jordan. 5 more times. He's been first team all-NBA 13 times, more than anyone in the history of the league, and he's been named first team All-NBA 3 more times than Michael Jordan. He's finished in the top 5 of the MVP voting 14 times, and he has 4 more top 5 selections than Michael Jordan. Absolutely incredible. And the thing is, he's still playing.
And the thing about those statistics and accolades is Michael Jordan can't catch LeBron James. If anything, that gap is just going to continue to widen from now until whenever it is LeBron James decides to retire. And to put things into perspective, in 1998, the Chicago Bulls won their last NBA title and Michael Jordan won his last Most Valuable Player award. Michael Jordan was 34 years of age. Currently, LeBron James is 35 years old. And before this season got postponed, he was making a run at another MVP title. He had the Los Angeles Lakers as the number 1 seed in the playoffs, and they were the favorites to win the NBA title. And if this season ever concludes, the Lakers will still be the favorites to win the NBA title in 2020. So I get it. If you're going to put all the emphasis on the finals record and the 6 titles, then Michael Jordan's your guy. And despite all the evidence that surrounds that, I'm not going to be able to change your mind. If you just love scoring and point at the scoring titles and Michael was the better scorer, so he was a better player, I'm not going to agree with that. I think that's a closed way to look at things, but you're going to come to the conclusion that it's Michael Jordan. And if you just like Michael Jordan better and you want to say he's the greatest of all time because you're biased, then I can't stop you from doing that. However, if you open up your mind and consider all the things that have happened and that are still happening and look at all the categories, the whole body of work, all the data, if LeBron James is just as clutch or more clutch than Michael Jordan, what does that mean? If LeBron James is just as much and every bit the winner, maybe even more of a winner than Michael Jordan, then what case do you have? Now, at the beginning of this video, I stated that there were 4 guys that have a legitimate claim to be the greatest basketball player of all time. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Bill Russell. This has been the case for LeBron James. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you soon.